You're watching Yak in Texas, how-tos and kayak fishing reviews. Ty Sutherland. Brought to you by Mariner Sails, Wind and Paddle Sports.
Hey, welcome back to Yak in Texas. Hey, I'm going to be talking to y'all today about some safety issues, some safety tips, some things that I don't ever see touched on that I've learned through experience that are critical while kayak fishing to keep you safe. So let's go ahead and touch on some of these issues. Jetties and passes. I've been in some tremendously sketchy situations leaving passes in motorboats. Bad things are going on right here with currents. Okay, let's say you've got an outgoing tide sucking all the water from inshore to offshore through this pass. You've got a south wind pushing the waves in. You get this washing machine effect at the entrance at the mouth of these jetties. It can be very, very dangerous. I've been in motorboats before going straight ahead and had a weird current grab me and start taking me sideways while I'm going 40 miles an hour straight and nearly bring me into the rocks. I've been fishing off the jetty rocks and had crew boats come through and throw a wake so big it almost knocked me off the rocks. I had to lay down and grab a rock. I had a buddy recently take off the beach, go toward the mouth of a pass, San Luis Pass, without a life preserver, and had a rogue wave hit him out of nowhere, flip him over, and had to be saved by the Coast Guard. Mouths of passes in general, are sketchy places for kayaks to be. Stay away from them, whatever you do. Next topic, sit-inside kayaks. Heck, I think sit-inside kayaks are cool. One of my favorite kayaks on the planet is the Wilderness Systems Commander. Low center of gravity, sight cast, great, super light. But here's the problem with sit-inside kayaks. A sit-inside will sink. Think of a sit-inside kayak like an aluminum boat or like a canoe. Once they fill with water, if you catch a wave over the bow or over the side, it's going to fill up and it's going to sink. A sit on top, more like a surfboard. It'll float. Water just washes right over it. Save the sit-insides for the experienced sea kayakers with the skirts and all that. If you're just a kayak fisherman, go for a sit on top. Water flows over the bow, over the side, goes out the scupper holes, just washes right through it. No big deal. It will float whether it's upside down, sideways, or backwards. Alright, lighting. In Texas, you have to have some sort of white light that shines 360. Elevated preferably. You don't have to have red and green like a motorboat vessel or something. You have to have a bright white light that's shining. Often I use a headlamp. The VisiCarbon Pro works amazing from Yak Attack. It's good to keep a couple of glow sticks in your compartment. You can always break those and put 2 or 3 in the boat for high visibility. And the batteries never go out. The glow sticks are amazing. Lights. If you're fishing at night, you want to light this thing up. Just because the boats cannot see us in the dark. They have trouble seeing us in the day. So light up the yak. Make sure you have that white light. You also have to have a whistle in Texas. And you have to have a PFD handy if not on. Okay, boat wakes. Another danger zone. Fresh and saltwater. I was in a freshwater lake and a big yacht threw a wake that took a long time to get to me. Stood my boat in on the back end, straight up in the air. In saltwater, we really have to watch out for these guys. Crew boats. They service oil rigs. They go very fast. Sometimes they'll slow down for you. Sometimes they won't. I've seen some big wakes coming at me from crew boats. When you're offshore, if they approach a rig, back off, let them do their work, let them leave. Barges. Stay away from these rascals. They suck a tremendous amount of water. You do not want to be crossing the intercoastal and get sucked in the back end of a barge. If you're trying to cross the intercoastal or where there's shipping traffic, let them pass, let it calm down, shoot across, and get out of there quick. I've been a quarter mile away from barge traffic, had one of them pass, sucked all the water out of the marsh I was in, and left me high and dry in the mud with shrimp and fish popping everywhere. It was crazy. They suck a ton of water. Steer clear of them and give ships and barges their space. The buddy system, one of the greatest assets we have, fresh or saltwater, is people with us. If you get into trouble, it's your buddy that's going to help you out. Make sure you have at least one, if not two or three. Food and water. Okay, you want to have plenty of food with you because that's your paddle fuel. That's how you're going to get back. Water, bring tons of it. A trick we do is we freeze water bottles. Even in my fish bag, I have frozen water bottles. If I get in a bind, I rinse them off in the salt water and I start drinking ice cold water. Frozen bottles are magic. They're in my cooler, they're in my fish bag. They double as ice and cold drinking water. If you pour ice in your fish bag, it's just going to melt away, evaporate. You're never going to see that water again. But if you use frozen bottles, that water will stay in that bottle. It'll stay ice cold all day long, help bring your core body temperature down, and give you emergency water if you get in a bind. 3 things we have to carry by law here in Texas are a light source for after dark, a whistle, and a PFD. Not only are these demanded by law, but they are awesome safety devices. The light will help you be seen. The whistle, you can draw attention in fog or if you get in trouble because it's a high pitch. And the PFD, it will keep you alive when things get really sketchy. PFDs are no doubt a lifesaver. By Texas law, it has to either be on or within easy reach. I also sit on a seat cushion, a throwable cushion that can be helpful in a bind. I also keep an extra PFD down in the hole. It's styrofoam, it's more flotation. But if somebody's PFD blows out of a truck or blows off their kayak, I've got an extra. It's a good practice. Weather. Know your weather before you go. A lot of boating and kayak fishing accidents I see and hear about, the people were headed out in the wrong weather. You have to check ahead, see what's going on, and pick windows of calm weather. Here on the Central Texas coast, we have a lot of wind, so I use Wind Finder. No matter where I'm at, I check Wind Finder to see what direction the wind's coming from hour to hour. That way I know how to plan my drifts and how to stay safe. Just as a little tip, if let's say I have a prevailing southeast wind, I like to fish into that southeast wind all day long and then I ride the wind back home. It's a good safety tip. Watching the wind in advance hour to hour gives you an advantage. It lets you use the wind to your advantage and it keeps you from having to head into a 30-mile-an-hour wind just to get back home. Noah. If you're fishing BTB, you want to go online and find the, say, 20-mile buoy that's off the shore of where you BTB fishing, and you can watch the daily report. Like I think up to 7 days here of what's happening with that buoy so you can kind of time your BTB trips. I'm always looking for 0 to 2 foot seas with 0 to 10 mile an hour wind. Less than 10 mile an hour wind and less than 2 foot seas. I'm looking for glass or I'm not going. I always tell everybody to pick a week to go BTB fishing, not a day. You pick the week and then you find the best day within that week, and it still may not happen. Look, here you go, 4 to 6 foot seas, 3 to 4s, 10 to 15 knot winds. These are rough seas. I wouldn't go anytime during this week. To safely offshore kayak fish is a whole nother discussion. But just some quick sidelines, the buddy system is a must. Go when it's flat calm. The hotter it gets on the Gulf, the flatter it gets. Mid to late summer, early fall is going to be your best windows of opportunity. Go when it's glass, 1 foot seas and 5 knot winds. That's what I'm talking about. When it comes to BTB, you want to go with somebody who's very experienced and learn slowly. This is not something you jump into right away. Well, I hope we've touched on some safety issues in areas that you may not have thought of. Look, if you play it safe, use common sense, you're going to have a lot of fun out there kayak fishing.